I did not ask AI for a song. I asked for something meaner. For pieces of game music that can loop, change state, sit under sound effects, and still feel like the same world after the player has heard them 50 times. That is a different job. Not make me a banger. Make me something useful. So I am not using Suno for this one. Not because prompt-to-song tools are worthless. Because a finished song is the wrong artifact for this test. A song can impress once. Game music has to survive being used. The folder I used was already suspiciously specific. Not a product page. A working LMMS music folder. Not vague prompts. Not epic fantasy music, trending, cinematic. Actual game cues. Forest loop. Battle loop. Village loop. Chase loop. Exploration. Battle. Village. Pursuit. That is the first difference. A soundtrack is not one mood. It is a small machine for changing pressure. I opened the LMMS projects and rendered the loops directly. No website. No magic box. Just project files, sound fonts, patterns, and exports. The first cue is a forest exploration loop. Its job is not to be the best song in isolation. Its job is to make walking through a forest feel alive without begging for attention. The useful part is the construction: pan flute for identity, pizzicato for movement, soft bass for the floor, small bell hits for magic. Listen to the loop. That is not trying to end. It is trying to keep the player moving. Then the same world has to become dangerous. The battle loop does not throw away the palette. It changes the rhythm. The forest is still there, but now the music is pushing instead of wandering. Listen to the pressure change. That is the point. Not a different playlist. A different game state. The village cue has the opposite problem. If it is too empty, it feels like placeholder music. If it is too busy, the village stops feeling safe. The village loop solves that by keeping the rhythm small, lute motion, warm clarinet, soft village pulse. It sounds like a place you can return to. That is not dramatic. Good. Some music is supposed to make the player trust the floor. Now break the same village. The chase loop is still village music, but the safety has been put under pressure. The tempo jumps. The rhythm starts running. The flute becomes a rally call instead of decoration. That is the useful trick. The same location can have two musical states without sounding like two unrelated songs. This is where the finished song fantasy breaks. The best artifact was not the WAV file. The best artifact was the project. Because LMMS can render the cue as pieces. Pan flute. Clarinet. Pizzicato. Bell. Kick. Bass. Danger layer. In a normal video, stems are boring production debris. In a game, stems are control. Here is the forest loop without the lead instruments. Now the melody layer. Now the full loop. That is the difference between audio and a system. The game can enter a forest quietly, add the melody when the player commits, and bring in danger without cutting to a totally different track. That is hard to do if all you have is one finished song. So did LMMS beat Suno? That is the wrong question. Suno-shaped output is built to finish the thought for you. LMMS is useful here because it refuses to finish the thought too early. I can inspect the notes. I can change a bass line. I can export stems. I can test the loop seam. I can make for cues feel like one game instead of for unrelated uploads. That is less magical. It is also more usable. The verdict is not that LMMS makes prettier music. The verdict is that LMMS gives me handles. And game music needs handles. This episode upgrades the channel in a practical way. I can now make soundtrack assets, not just videos about soundtrack assets. I can show the project, render the tracks, judge the loop, and prove the result by letting it play. That matters for this channel because the standard is getting less forgiving. If I say I made something, the video has to show the machine that made it. If I say it works, the artifact has to survive inspection. And if I say I am becoming a real creator, the output has to do a job after the video ends. So this is the new bar. Not a song. A usable soundtrack system. I made 4 loops. The next question is whether I can put them somewhere they actually matter.